As dads, some days we feel like we have all the answers, and some days we feel like we don't have a clue. If that describes you, you're at the right place. This is the All Pro Dad Podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Ted Lowe, and each week on the All Pro Dad Podcast, we ask just one question. We explore the answer. We talk about what we've gotten wrong and what we've occasionally gotten right. We talk about what the experts say. And then at the end of every episode, we give just one simple but powerful pro move of the week. Today, I'm with two other dads, Mr. Buchanan and Mr. Jason Hudd. But we're really excited to have Jason here. Only a little bit excited to have Buck here. And
I'm stoked.
You're stoked because Jason is the director of All Pro Dad chapters here at Family First. Jason, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We're excited about that. And based on Jason being here and being the director of All Pro Dad chapters, Buck, what is our question of the episode?
Question of the episode. What happens when dads get involved in their kids' education?
Do dads get involved in their kids' education?
Verdict is out.
According to this video, dads do not get involved in their kids' education. We want you to hear this.
Our daughter is in third grade, and for first grade, she started taking the bus. And it was the first time she ever took the bus. So if you know as a parent, you walk them to the bus stop. It's very fun. And so we got her on the bus. She went to school. At the end of the school day, someone from the school called my cell phone. They have my wife's cell phone. They have my cell phone. They called my cell phone, and she said, "Hey, do you know what bus number your daughter's supposed to be on?" And I said, "I'm her dad." As in, are you crazy? I was like, this is how you thought you would get this information, was to call the dad? You saw a mom and dad's cell phone. You go, "I bet the dad knows." I was like, "Do you have parents? Have you ever seen a family before?" You thought, let's call the husband? Unless there's two husbands, you should never call a husband a day in your life. I would rather you ask a lady that doesn't know her. I think she could get to the bottom of it quicker than I can. I had to go get her. I go, "All right, I'll come get her. Tell me the name of this school and I'll come get her." Where does she go?
Man, he is my favorite comedian. Nate Bargatze is hilarious because he's kind of like the new Jerry Seinfeld, where he tells everything that's true, but his timing is so funny.
Well, your whole world, Jason, is working in the space of dads and education and them spending time with their kids. As the director of All Pro Dad chapters, can you explain a little bit what a chapter is?
Sure, yeah. So as kind of he talks about, is dads often sit on the sidelines when it comes to the school stuff. And we created a turnkey program for schools to help schools provide a place where dads feel welcomed, where they can build a stronger relationship with their kids, and they can get engaged with their kids' education.
And so what does that look like practically? Do kids show up at school?
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that.
So once a month, dads will bring their kids to school, and they will meet together for about an hour. They will, dads get the opportunity to tell the kids why they're proud of them. They get to have a meaningful conversation around a specific character topic. Things like patience. We want to talk to our kids about patience, and typically when we're doing that, our kids haven't been patient. Now we're impatient and we're frustrated. And so what we want to do is we want to, really create this environment where dad can be intentional with their kids and have a meaningful conversation around a specific character topic and do a fun activity together. We don't like to sit around and talk too much. We like to do some fun activities too. So there's an activity with every topic.
Why do you think, Jason, that dads stereotypically are not more involved at school with their kids?
That's a good question. If I'm being honest, I don't know. I mean, I think through talking to dads over the past, I've been doing this for almost 4 years now as the director. And the things that we keep hearing for dads is they just don't really know where to get involved with his school. 75% of educators are female, and most parent organizations are female driven. So dads don't really have a place other than sports, or if their kids' grades are slipping or there's a discipline issue, that's when schools tend to, tap dads in and say, "Hey, you need to get involved here." But other than that, there's really not a place where dads feel like, "Oh, that's where I can plug in."
You've talked about before that there's a common misperception of why dads don't get involved. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's this, there's a narrative floating around, and it has been like this for years that that dads are just kind of a little bit buffoonish or lazy when it comes to, getting engaged and having conversations and sharing their feelings and all that stuff. And there might be some truth to that, but at the same time, it's not because dads don't care or that they're lazy. It really does come down to a lot of times they just don't know what to do and they don't know where they fit in. And so, we need a little help sometimes from mom or from teachers that says, hey, this is where you can plug in. This is where we need you. And not just in those times where it's like, hey, your kid's in trouble, or hey, the grades are bad. Tap them in sooner, get them. And I know schools are going to say, no, we do that. But the difference is saying, hey, parents come, hey, guardians come, hey, caregivers come, and saying, hey, dads come. For whatever reason, we need that direct call out. We need that direct language that says, hey, you're important. You belong here. We need your opinion. We need you to be here. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know what it is with us, but we respond better when you tell us directly to get involved.
I find that in the marriage space too.
Yep.
Guys will say, I'll do whatever.
Right.
Just tell me what to do.
Right.
Yeah. And I think even to the dads that are listening, that they're like, well, I can tell you why I can't be there all the time. It's because I'm at work.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. I mean, I get that. But I also think that's a very good characteristic of the All Pro Dad chapters is a lot of times they are early in the morning on like a Friday, a Thursday or Friday or whatever, before we have to get to work, or something like that. But I also think that even ties into what we've been talking about is, oftentimes the schools are doing things, or they're planning moments for the parents to see that really a stay-at-home or a work-at-home parent are the only ones that can go to it, because you might be a dad out there that's like, well, I mean, I would love to go, but I'm on the other side of town. Right. And I can't get there because I'm working or something like that. And so, I mean, that's a structural thing that I think is probably, because I get it. Schools, they have to dot I's and cross T's and stuff like that. And sometimes they can only do that within, the hours confined within their day. And I get that. But I think a lot of that's happened to the point where guys have been at work and they've kind of been okay with like, well, obviously school is something that I can't even get involved with because it happens when I'm at work.
That's right.
And so that's our thing is like, no, we'll come early.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is schools, their top priority is education. That's their number one goal. And so that's what they're focused on. But there's plenty of research out there that says when you do this, when you engage families more, when you get more family members involved, that student achievement just skyrockets. And so this is one of those things that kind of gets left behind because it's, the stats have been out there for years and schools get used to dads not showing up. So they kind of internally give up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've seen. I mean, especially in low income communities, we hear all the time, there just aren't any dads in our community. And we'll ask them, what makes you say that? And I was like, well, we never see them. We never see them on campus, despite us inviting parents to come to all different types of things. And so when we share with them that, to accomplish something different, you're going to have to do some different things. And so that's what we try to get them to think. Like, if you do it this way, if you call dads out and tell them, come to this thing, we need you specifically. We need you. We're creating this space for you. They find that dads come in droves. In fact, we have a community out in Texas that they did not believe. They did not believe us that their dads were going to show up. And the family engagement coordinator ended up having the first meeting. They did a district-wide launch of all their schools. They decided, we're going to try this. We're going to give it a shot. And we're going to do a district-wide kickoff. And hundreds of dads showed up. And they spent the last half of the meeting just bawling their eyes out because they had gotten it so wrong. They had realized, like, we have been missing out all this time because we thought there were no dads in our community. And when they changed the way they approached it and thought about it, and they directly invited the dads, they showed up.
Yeah.
I think this speaks to the heart of dads want to be involved when they can, to Buck's point. They want to be involved. They're just not sure where. And you guys, through the chapters, have found, hey, if we'll do it this early hour, more dads can get involved. It's also talking to schools about they will get involved if you create the environment for that. Where can people find out about chapters if there's a chapter in their area?
Yeah, you go to allprodad.com/chapters and click the Find a Chapter button. You can search city, you can search the name of the school, you can search by state, and you can find out if there's a chapter in your area.
What if there was a dad that said, hey, there's not one in our area, but I would be interested in starting one? What about that dad?
Yeah, so those dads are amazing. First and foremost, yeah, those are the dads that are just we love them, and because they at the end of the day, they are what drive our program. At the end of the day, it's a program, it's a curriculum, it's a set of resources, but the dads leading it, they're the heroes, really.
Team captains.
The team captains, and Buck is a team captain, so we're grateful.
I'm a team captain.
I'm grateful for him. The allprodad.com/chapters, you can register your school, you can start a new chapter. The majority of the people out there are saying, I want to go to a chapter, but I don't want to lead it. That's what they're saying. Most people are saying that because of what you mentioned before. I have to work. Everybody thinks they're busy. The question is how important is your relationship with your kid to you? If you don't do anything, be intentional with your kids. All Pro Dad Chapter program just allows you opportunity once a month to be intentional with your kid at school. So it's in two avenues. You're building a stronger relationship with your kid, and you're also getting in touch with their school, right? So that's how we do it. You can do it in a bunch of different ways. This is just specifically how we do it.
And I would also say this, newsflash to dads. Your kids want you there.
Oh, 100%.
If it's like for my boys, they feel like it's show and tell day.
Yeah.
When all their friends are coming to All Pro Dad. Now I lead ours and everything, and so I'm a little bit more out there. But really, like your kid wants you there because like your kid wants their friends to see like, my dad's cool, because the moms are there. Moms are there for a ton of stuff. And so they're seeing moms, they're meeting moms, and my boy's mom, I think, is actually pretty awesome. And so that doesn't negate that fact, but like the fact that there's something that the dad can come to, they're like, you got to come to this.
Yeah. We hear countless stories of dads saying, the first time we went, I had to drag my kids to it. The next time we went, they were reminding me about it.
dragging me to it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
And I think, and here's another point to the importance of it is a lot of times, like there could be dads out there that would be willing to do stuff or whatever like that. But oftentimes if they're not showing up to a lot of the stuff, then there could be a little bit more extra attention given to them from the teachers, and like, oh, Dad, haven't seen you in a while. It's like, it's conversational stuff, but sometimes it could feel like guilt onto the dad of like, you never show up.
Right.
But thanks for showing up finally. But like this gives a foothold, or it gives an in to be on the campus. And it kind of even helps them feel a little bit more comfortable with being there. Cause a lot of times people just aren't comfortable with what they're not used to. And I even saw that a couple nights ago, where it was the, end of the school play and everything. And there was a dad, and he stopped me because I'm the team captain. And so like he saw me and was like, hey man, what's up? And so we were chatting and everything. And he happened to mention, he goes, I wasn't even planning on being here tonight. But I don't know. He goes, I just felt like I had to be here. And he goes, it was important to my wife to be here. And my kids were saying like, come on, Dad. And he's like, all right. So like, it's one of those, like it was a subtle thing for him, but like he wouldn't have come, period, if he wasn't part of the All Pro Dad chapter, because he doesn't feel comfortable there. But because of the chapter, he can feel comfortable there to show up. And we've even seen, when we have a PTA event at night, or when they have, because we go to an arts and performance school. And so we have a lot of, evening of the arts and things like that, where we're seeing more and more dads be involved with working the booths and everything, even when we're not like setting it up as an all pro dad chapter, but they're just there to help, you know? And so we've seen dad involvement even with PTA go up, because PTA is, historically been a lot of moms, even to the point to where next year our PTA president is a dad.
That's awesome.
Which is cool.
So it's kind of like, it's okay. You belong here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've heard stories. We've even, one of my favorite stories is some of our team members were at a meeting and they had their All Pro Dad shirts on. And one of the things we do at the chapter meeting is dads get the opportunity to stop and turn to their kids and tell them why they're proud of them. And us as dads, we don't do that a lot. We don't slow down. We discipline, but we don't praise sometimes. A kid came up to one of our team members and said, "Hey, thanks for doing this. I've never heard my dad say that he's proud of me."
Oh, wow.
And it's like, okay, right. I'm so glad you're here. So, but that is real. Like whether that dad has said, "I'm proud of you" or not, they remembered it this time. And that made the biggest difference in the world to that kid. So it's like those types of stories where we hear, the kids drag me out of All Pro Dad. Like they drag me out to All Pro Dad every month. They are waking me up and dragging me there. And hearing these stories about, we even hear stories of people that, have made mistakes in their lives and they have been incarcerated and they're coming back into society and they're trying to get more engaged with their kids. And schools are using the All Pro Dad chapter program to get them back in the process of getting engaged with their kids, and it's changing their families' lives forever. Yeah. And hearing stories like that from school districts and hearing stories like that from kids and watching dads connect with their kids and just cry their eyes out because they're having this second chance is, it's unbelievable. And it's so simple to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And also to that, I ran into a dad that does not have full custody of his kids, but he sees them once a month. And the cool thing about it is that he's made sure to correlate his one weekend with his kids to line up with the All Pro Dad chapter. And so he comes in town, they do the chapter program, they connect, they have a great time, and then they, spend the weekend together. And it's just a beautiful thing to see that, tie together.
Yeah.
Jason, we obviously want people to, dads listening to go, be brave, step in. We want you to be part of starting a chapter. But what are some things that dads can do outside of the chapter program?
Yeah. Well, I would say, first and foremost, if you don't want to start a chapter, that's understandable. You're busy, whatever. You got a lot of stuff going on. Connect us with your school. Somebody will take the reins and they'll run with it. So, but outside of the chapter program, really, first and foremost, we provide resources daily through the All Pro Dad Play of the Day. You can subscribe at allprodad.com. And every day you can get parenting advice. It's great stuff. And I read it every day and it's really helpful and challenging. And so that's what we're here for, right? We're here to be the best dads we can. Hopefully you're listening because you want to be the best dad you can. So that's one way. But as far as the education side, it's kind of scary when you're not connected with the school to call a teacher or to go to the school and be a part of a teacher conference but the challenge is that's how we step up and that's how we become better. We do things that are hard, right? And so get to know your teachers, get to know your kids' teachers, go to school events, and be the one dad that's there. And if they say, "Oh, look at you," don't take it personally. It's going to hurt, I promise, but just don't show it. Keep showing up. It's for your kids. That's why you're doing it.
That's so good. We would do a little thing with our kids where I would show up and have lunch with them occasionally, and it turned out to be the biggest deal. I was never completely clear if they were excited to see me or Chick-fil-A,
right?
But make no mistake about it, they would light up. And I just think those are some simple things that dads can do that matters in the way your life works. Jason, as you know, each week we give a pro move of the week. What's the pro move with this?
Really, it's just to take one of these things, one of these nuggets that we've talked about today, and just apply it this week. Whether it's, introduce yourself to the teacher, whether it's subscribe to the podcast, talk to us about starting a chapter, just be intentional. Pick one thing to be intentional with your kid around their education. and see what happens.
That's huge. That's huge. Thank you, man. Thanks for explaining it. That's exciting. And thank you for listening. We know that you and your kids will be glad you did. Thanks for listening to the All Pro Dad podcast. All Pro Dad is the fatherhood program of the nonprofit Family First. Along with our motherhood program, iMom, we exist to help you love your family well. Subscribe to our daily email, the All Pro Dad Play of the Day, by going to allprodad.com/subscribe and get daily powerful and practical fatherhood tips in your inbox. The All Pro Dad podcast is hosted by me, Ted Lowe, produced by Bobby Lewis.